My dear Bagginses and Buffins.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about a mistake in the Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. The title of this article is a bit misleading. It's called Sean Astin's mistake, but that's just because of the story regarding how this mistake was first revealed to Sean and Peter. So for those of you who don't know, in the Moria battle scene, there is a cave troll, and it steps into what is perceived to be a beam of sunlight coming in through a very small opening in the wall that illuminates the room that the battle is taking place in. Now, this mistake was first pointed out to Sean and Peter while they were riding in a limo by a fan. And so that's why the title is called Sean Astin's mistake. That doesn't make any sense to me. The title really should just be a Lord of the Rings mistake or something like that. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this quickly because the article is more about whether or not these kind of mistakes will be a problem for the Amazon Lord of the Rings series. And
Right.
to be honest, I think there are some things that you can get away with. This potential fight scene is one in which I do think there are potential explanations, although I don't really care. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter too much. I kind of chalk that beam of light up to, like, they needed a way to illuminate the room for filming that made sense, since they were supposed to be underground. And so they used sunlight coming in through a tiny hole in the wall. But then that kind of opens up questions about whether or not that was a potential way they could have escaped Moria if need be, right? So what do you think? I mean, I'm not too worried about this kind of mistake, although I can see how this potentially poses a problem, especially to fans who are looking for theories and whatnot. And so when they see, say, a troll step into a beam of light, they might then say, "Oh, there's a new species of troll that Sauron has developed," or something like that. So it then becomes a bit problematic for fans who are trying to piece together the clues or whatnot of the story. So yeah, what's your take on this? How do you feel about this?
I don't know. Maybe mirror is from a mirror. Maybe mirror light doesn't count. I don't know. That was one of my thoughts.
Oh
But
yeah,
maybe I'm
okay.
wrong.
Sort of like is that scene from like The Mummy, right? Where like they have those mirrors illuminate the
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe the sunlight needs to be direct. I don't know.
Yeah, because that also brings up another point about whether or not the sunlight needs to be direct. Can the troll be nearby in shadow? To me, I would think yes, because it's covered up. It's not getting the direct UV rays or whatever it is that turns them into stone. But it is canon that they do turn to stone in sunlight, and that's actually a big plot point in The Hobbit, which is the prequel
Yes.
book. And so I can see how, these kind of things might get people a little bit riled up. But like you said, I think there are some plausible explanations for it, namely the mirror thing, like you're suggesting, or potentially it's not actually coming, although it does seem to be coming up. Maybe it's coming from an area down below or something like that, and it's actually just firelight or something. It does appear to be sunlight. I'm saying I do believe it's sunlight, and I actually think it is direct sunlight. I don't think you would need a mirror necessarily. You could just have a very small shaft all the way up to the edge of the mountain. But yeah, what do you think about this kind of stuff going forward into the show? Because the show is going to be covering some stuff that has even much more broader lore from the other established works of Tolkien. So they're going to have a lot more to be on the lookout for and keep an eye on, because they're going to have a lot of stuff that potentially can ruin the show if they get it wrong for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, I want them to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. And they do seem like they have a good team on board to kind of catch these mistakes. And like I said, I don't know if this is the biggest mistake. I think also one thing I thought of as well was that if you wanted the battle scene to happen in the same way, you could have actually used that beam of light to the Fellowship's advantage. They could actually work around that beam of light, but maybe just the technology back then, trying to get the troll, the CGI of the troll to work in the fight scene, maybe it was just too hard to get it to avoid the light in certain ways, just because of how the image had to be rendered. You need some lighting in order to show us what's on the screen,
Yeah.
and so it's maybe there was just technical issues back then. There isn't any more. I don't think there should be. We're now in 2021. We've seen some really, really cool CGI stuff come out in the last decade. So I think if that was an issue back then, I think they should be able to move past it and maybe get to a bit more realism with these characters. That is, especially these larger characters, because I think that's always a challenge when you have real life actors interacting with larger CGI characters, and that's one thing that Lord of the Rings does so well most of the time, is getting those characters to really feel like fill out the space. I mean, we see it all the time when they have the hobbits and Gandalf, and just seeing those size difference representations, and I don't even know how they did some of those shots. So
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess there needs to be some creative license to give some light, because if they're just fighting in the dark and we don't see anything.
yeah, then it's gonna be like the Long Night all over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me this isn't the biggest problem, but I can see it upsetting fans, and I know they're gonna have to be on the lookout for this kind of stuff, because this is 20 years later, and Peter Jackson's trilogy was it was a huge accomplishment at the time. It was the first thing of its kind, and to some it's the only thing of its kind still. So it does get a little bit of leeway, I think, from the fans, because of all the other stuff it does so well. So when you find little tokens like this, which show that it's not 100% perfect, I think it's forgiven. But the show is probably not going to get that same wiggle room and leeway, so they're going to have to really be on their game.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.